Welcome to Something to Marvel About, a podcast where we discuss and dissect the week's MCU releases. My name's English Dave, and helping me find my Blu-ray collection is my co-host Andrew. What's up, Andrew?
Shalom, David.
We are here to talk about episode 6 of Agatha All Along, titled Familiar by Thy Side. The synopsis is as follows. Familiar teen is much more than he seems, and his connections to the rest of the coven are revealed.
Dun, dun, dun.
Andrew, this episode, it was the longest episode of the season so far.
Good.
50 minutes, 50, which kind of makes up for last week being the shortest episode. Maybe that's why they're kind of...
Also annoying, because I'm like, just split it across both? Like, what? I don't know. Anyways.
But, without spoilers, what did you think of this episode?
Yeah, I mean, the synopsis has set the tone. So even spoiler-free, I can say that we got a lot of answered questions, a lot of connected dots. Honestly, probably more than I anticipated a little bit, right? I know you often say, and we mentioned on this show, that sometimes, there are breadcrumbs that we expect, but then there was still definitely like at least 3 moments where I was like, whoa, which I thought was pretty cool. They're doing a good job, especially for a show that's kind of like a new IP. They're doing a good job, I think, of tying everything together. So everything just feels a lot more, intentional from what we've seen. So I think big positives from me in that front. I'm enjoying the thread connecting that's going on. I don't think I was disappointed at all in the unveiling, the answered questions. Like I said, the shock factor was definitely there. And I really am even furtherly confused as to how the show is going to end, which I think is a good thing, right? It's like, oh, great, I now know all this. So what is happening, right? and where is this going? But I can't wait to dive in, because I think they, like I said, did a good job of just giving us enough where it's like, and then once again, some funny acting from Agatha as always. Just she's such an interesting actress, but I love her, right? Like she's so eccentric. So all in all, me enjoy much.
I would go as far as to say this is probably my favorite episode of the season.
This season?
Yes, and I would even say usually, I judge, not judge, but I look at shows in 2 groups. Mm-hmm. Either it's a week-to-week show or it's a binge show.
Yeah.
And initially, I used to think this was a week-to-week show because of the trials and everything like that. But then the most recent episode made me realize, no, this should have been a binge.
Yeah.
And it's almost looking as if the second half of the season looks to be stronger than the first half. At least more interesting. And the first half was all set up, and now we're finally in the meat of things. And I wish it didn't take us 6 weeks to get here. I feel like it's almost doing itself a disservice by being weekly, because I feel like it begs for patience, but I don't know how many people have that patience.
A lot of patience. I've heard, I know people who have, I don't want to say dropped off, but they've kind of been like, oh, is this it? Like, that's kind of boring.
Exactly. And like you said, because it's a new IP, it's not like very well-known characters that were like, we're in this because we love this character already, previously. Yes, we've seen Agatha before, but because it's so new, I think it would have been better served as a just full-on binge. And I think it would have been received better, because I think this is a very strong episode that kind of sets up, like you said, we may not know what's going on. We've been given some answers, but those answers just beget more questions. And in fact, we get some answers to questions we didn't even ask.
Yeah, like which I thought was the best part. Yeah, like whoa, oh,
which is the best part. And a lot of our assumptions were like, oh, we thought it was going left, but actually it's going behind us.
It's going in a roundabout upside down.
Thank you, God. And yes, the acting. I mean, it's not supposed to say this is a flashback episode, and we get to see things from a different perspective, which opens the door for some fantastic acting, as always. I thought it was great. I also think they did a fantastic job of, sometimes we're not quite sure with the MCU where they're going to go. And again, so it makes sense, where in terms of, are they going to follow the comics to a T, or are they going to veer away from the comics?
Yeah.
And they kept us more closer to the comics than I expected.
Pretty close. and I feel like I like the changes too, right? Like a lot of times, not a lot of times, there are often times where I'm like, why did you change that? Whereas in this, I'm like, for what this is and for TV and for this era, it fits right in, right? I agree. This was the strongest episode, and And maybe it should have come sooner. Maybe it's one of those, you need to have me at my ugliest before you can get me when I'm pretty type of things, right?
And before we get to spoilers, this episode did one of my favorite things in a TV show, where it brings up things that you forgot happened, because it doesn't, things that you think, threads from previous iterations or previous episodes or previous shows, where you think, oh, that thread is just gone, and it comes back in a way like, oh, snap, I totally forgot about that thing.
Yeah.
Or there's ramifications for actions, right? There's cause and effect. It's not just cause, and we forget about effect. I love that. I love this long-lasting. It shows you, and that's the benefit of TV, where you can have long-lasting ramifications, and this kind of highlights it, right? From simple things as in the original episodes, going back to the people of Westview and what happened to them after the fact. After WandaVision, we kind of forget about them.
Yeah.
But this show's like, well, no, there's still
there's
a lot trauma.
A lot, yeah, like deep trauma, to be honest.
Right. So we get more context into like the effect that Wanda had on these people, and you're like, oh, Wanda, you're really bad.
I think Marv was like, she's like a villain. I was like, I mean, kind of
exactly.
Like, it's not really redeemable.
It's funny you say that, because I was revisiting, just for fun, because it's the Halloween season, I was revisiting Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. I still think that movie could have played better with its ideas, especially in the horror realm. I think it could have gone really in. But I do appreciate it more because of the lore of witches and witchcraft and magic that it plays with. And even simple things like, initially, a lot of people were upset about Wanda going down the path of being a villain.
Yeah.
But I'm like, well, if you watch WandaVision and look at really everything that happens, she was going down that path before WandaVision. Yeah. before Multiverse.
The multiverse, yeah.
She was already playing with the Darkhold and doing things. And, she kept a whole town hostage.
Yeah.
Mentally, that's traumatized. That's not something that you just let someone walk away from.
It's just not. I always had a biased view of that random, though. I always wish that they made us feel like the Darkhold made her do that. That was just a personal thing of mine. Like, neither here nor there. I always wanted. I feel like I wanted her to be more redeemable than she is.
Well, I think you look at the Darkhold narrative of it all, because again, Multiverse of Madness plays on the idea that it's a Darkhold. But the thing with the Darkhold, that it's just manifesting your innermost desires.
Yeah.
So it's something that you're already kind of thinking about. It just amplifies it to the point where you take action where you normally wouldn't have taken action.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's what it does. And I think Multiverse of Madness plays with that in an interesting way. I just think it's a bit convoluted, and we don't get as much multiverse stuff as I wanted. But that's neither here nor there. We're not here to review that movie. We're here to talk about this episode, and we're going to go straight into spoilers. All right. Dun, dun, dun. What I like about this episode is, and I didn't think they'd do this because this is what happens in the comics, is they play with the idea that William Kaplan is a very different person to Billy Maximoff. Everything that leads up to his death and rebirth of Billy. What did you think of all that?
So like, first thing you mentioned in the intro being like some of the ramifications of WandaVision. I like that it's spilling over here, because is that a red dome in the sky? Like
it wasn't like, what dome? What exactly?
Which would have been annoying, and shows do that, right? A lot of TV shows or whatever things have done like that in the past, but I like that it was very much a elephant in the room type of thing, right? Like, what is that? It was referenced a couple of times, and yeah, man, dude just straight up died, right?
I love the visual of that. I like that they held back from he died and then we see like a glow enter his body, and it's just camera angle and body movement. They understand that one person has died and another person has been born.
Yeah.
I thought that was done really well. Yeah. That car accident there, I thought it'd be something would happen, be a more direct effect.
Yeah.
Like the red thing would like expand and they crash into it. But I kind of like that they were distracted by it.
It was a rubbernecking. Good old rubberneck. You're like, oh, what's that? But it's funny, right? Because it's still like Wanda was the cause of the death that caused her son to appear in this body, right? I think I like that it's not like you said, it's not like utterly stated, or it's not like her powers directly caused that, but it's still directly her fault.
in this opening scene as well, we find an answer to a question that we've been asking, though we thought we knew the answer because we were like, yeah, for sure. It was Wanda, 100%. Mm-hmm. Nobody thought it was Lilia who put the sigil.
I think that was the first, like, again, my favorite Leonardo meme, like, oh my gosh, like, that's her. Like, like I know her. He knows her. Like, wait, he knows her? Like, are you guys seeing this? He knows her? And it was just so, even because right after she put the sigil, right, like, she came out of the tent and she forgot who he was. Yeah. So, like, it was just very clear. And I guess, you know, a little hat off to them there because it was like, I did not see that coming. It was, in my mind, it was either Wanda, it was maybe him himself.
Shit,
maybe Agatha. Literally, somehow I feel like Lilia was even like last on the list, right?
Right.
So like full hats off to them. Sorry, in that reveal, because even just with the weight of showing, I guess, the whole like ramifications of different people's actions, right? Like they're all connected. That's what I mentioned in the intro. Like you can see in this episode the thread that connects all of them together. It's almost like they were all meant to be on this witch's road together, and it started since way back then. So yeah, no, I think 10 over 10 for that Lilia reveal, just because it was not in my radar. She was not the person I was suspecting. Honestly, I would have suspected Doctor Strange before her. Like, I'm not even kidding.
No, I agree. And here's begs my question. Then it's like, what was the actual reason? I'm not asking for your answer here, but what was the actual reason why she put the sigil? Was the sigil for William, but he ends up dying anyway?
Yeah.
Or was it for Billy? Did she know Billy's going to come? Like, did she know what was going to happen? Is it that protection spell for Billy? Or was that something for William? Because it's not like William's protected.
Yeah,
so
what is it? Definitely was not. quite the opposite. And I feel like, yeah, this, it for me, it's even more interesting with the, you know, Lilia has her flashes of, you know, random bouts of spewing nonsense, right? And I feel like there's still something there. Lilia's Mephisto. And I can't wait to see what, like what it turns into, because you're right. It was so intentional from her part, but we don't know what the intention was. And I still find that interesting. So like you said, some questions are answered, great, but like, wait, what? Why? Like, Lilia, what are you doing?
Once the accident happens or the police get called in, we find another witch. We see Allie.
Yes, the police officer, yep.
Yeah, so that's a nice little touch. Even later on the episode,
second, like, oh.
Even later on the episode, he's looking at a YouTube video and Jen is in the video.
Yeah.
There's another connection to other
Which was nice, because I think we knew that he knew, right? Because when him and Agatha met her, he commented on, you know, watching, knowing that she caused some people to have the skin issue or whatever. So that one was like, I guess that's what, like I said, like Lilia was last on my list. Like, if anything, I would have thought even Jen, because he kind of knew her. But, yeah, it was nice to see, what's her name? Alice show up in the police officer uniform, because it's just I personally love when a show, like, quote unquote, like, closes the loops, right? Like, everything that was mentioned before kind of gets addressed again. And I'm a big fan of, you know, this character knew those characters before, but like, it kind of blew my mind, because it's like, wait, Billy knew, so he knew, so Billy's been misleading all of us this whole time, right? Like, I thought he was oblivious to everything going on. Right, until the scene with the sigil, where it's like, you know, Billy Maximoff. It's like, wait, you knew, boy?
Well, here's my question. Then.
Yeah,
it's how much does he know, and how much kind of slowly does he learn? Because it seems that after the accident, one thing he does know, I am not.
He has powers.
I'm just saying, well, we don't even know when he finds out he has powers, right? We don't see that when he finds out. Because what he does know is that he is not William Kaplan, but he doesn't remember too much about his Billy side.
Yes.
He just knows that he's not. He knows that he's Billy.
Yeah.
Someone, at least at the beginning. It seems to be that he doesn't know everything. Like, from before he woke up, he's not quite sure what happened.
Yeah.
Right. At first. And he probably gets like little bits of information, because I think, even we're jumping ahead here, even later on when he speaks to Ralph, and Ralph confirms that there were there were two boys. It's almost like, oh my God, you're confirming what I thought was real.
I know what you mean. It's not like, I know. It's more like, wait, so I wasn't dreaming.
Yeah, exactly. So I find that interesting to kind of see what he knows and what filters in.
And I'm going to say, I mean, I don't know much about the occultic powers of the world. God bless God. But
he says,
I would imagine that if you take over a body that had previous memories, it wouldn't just be like, wiping your Mac clean. Like, it's not just like even if, to be fair, even to use a computer analogy, even if you moved your hard drive to another computer, it's still going to be like, This feels strange. Not really sure what else is here. Like I know I'm me, but like what is the rest of this going on, right? So you're right. I'm also not particularly sure, but it did feel like, and maybe like the memories were like cloudily coming back, little by little. It definitely wasn't like all at once, like, oh, I'm Billy, where's Wanda, where's my brother, right? But I think the gradual progression, like him, reading minds, slowly started to, I guess, reawaken his previous memories. And it's just such an interesting concept. I've always loved this Billy thing because they're like not real kids that became real by taking over a real body. It's like,
what? Like she didn't just create a life, she created essence.
Yeah, like she created a soul, right? Because
right, yeah, that's true. That's true. And what I like is that it suggests that he spent 3 years trying to figure out what happened. We see his growth. He goes from he goes from being this young, nice, sweet boy to now he's starting to get older and go into a more gothic look. Even his room changes. Right, his room goes from. What I do like is that apparently William was into magic beforehand. Anyway. He was into magic. He had lots of magic posters. But then, 3 years later, when he's a bit older, as Billy, the room's full of horror movie posters. Still with the magic witch world, but now it's horror stuff, which I thought was a nice kind of growing up change.
I feel like William was the whimsical part, whereas Billy is like, no, this is the real stuff, which I think was cool. I think it was cool to have that. It kind of tied a loose end for me, where it was like, I always wondered, like, why did this guy come look for Agatha? Like, did he really just want to be a witch? But it makes a lot more sense now because he knew, right? Even though I gave a semi side eye when he was Googling and Agatha's name came up. I mean, maybe not. I'm sure it's fine. I was just like, really? All that information's out there? Yes, yeah.
Well, sure. No, the name Agatha came up.
Yeah.
But it said not found. Agatha Harkness not found.
Yeah.
You mean blah blah blah. And he had to go.
He did a Google image search, which I also thought was a kind of nice touch because, like, I mean, fair enough. If there was going to be a way, it would be from the image recognition. But then it was just like the information was so like, oh yes, all that. Oh, just there. Oh, Agatha. Oh, Witch's Road. Like what site is this? Reddit? Is this
Reddit? I like that. Well, also, to be fair, this isn't the Marvel universe where a lot of shit has happened.
This is true. This is true. Blips and all. People have left the world. Thanos has messed shit up.
Right. Aliens exist. Gods exist. Yeah. This is all confirmed. Though we do find out that some secrets are still being kept because people think Westview is just an Avengers training exercise gone wrong.
I love that. That's always the excuse.
It's always the excuse.
It's always like, how many trainings do you guys need? Like, oh, what? What are you training for?
What I do like though is when he's searching, for answers. Two things happen. One, we're introduced to his boyfriend Eddie, which is for those who know the comics. It's almost similar because he does have a boyfriend called Teddy. I don't know, Eddie, Teddy. I don't know if it's supposed to be the same character, but it sounds the thing. I don't know.
It's like a little play on words.
Maybe. And in the comics, Teddy is also a young Avenger. Teddy's actually I believe like half Kree, half Skrull, and is a shapeshifter. And his superhero name is known as Hulkling, which I've always hated the name Hulkling because you could change to anything. Why change the Hulk or whatever? But I don't know if that's going to go down the same path. But I just want to point out the fact that their names are very similar sounding, Eddie and Teddy.
Yeah.
I don't know. But then again, people go through different relationships in your life. Maybe he goes from Eddie to Teddy.
Yeah. Maybe he's just attracted to, Eddie ending names,
Right.
that's just his thing.
But what we do find interesting, something we didn't think about or didn't expect, though we shouldn't have expected it, is the return of Ralph Boner. Love it. Played by Evan Peters. he's the one person that helps him find information about what happened inside the hex. What did you think of seeing Evan Peters return as Ralph Boner complaining about his Blu-ray collection and his Bowflex?
The scene was so funny, right? With like just typical meeting someone in a dark, weird place. And I think I cracked up when, I think the car lights came on. He's like, get down. It was like, oh.
Yeah,
it was like
it's like a car park. It's going to happen.
I was also like, okay, if you're so scared, how about you stop standing in the middle of the road? Like, go meet in your car or something, right? But yeah, I thought it was a very fun scene. Just one, again, to touch on the continued ramifications of everything that happened that Wanda did. Like, she messes people up, man. Like, and it's not, I like that they're showing us that it wasn't like the spell is like, once undone, it's like, oh, back to my normal life. It's like, it's like, what the hell? I was watching myself for how many years and I couldn't control my own body. Like,
kill the puppy, kidnap the woman.
they must hate Wanda so much, like they can't even put into words, right? And then, I thought it was so funny when he was just like, don't ask about Agatha Harkness. Don't ask about Agatha Harkness. He was like, talking about Agatha. I was like, oh, come on, man. Like, so I enjoyed that too. I didn't expect him at all. Go on.
And as funny as that was, it really speaks to his trauma. Right? He's very traumatized. At one point, I was watching my wife and she's like, why is he carrying that kind of chicken head?
Yeah.
I was like, you have to remember, he was controlled by 2 witches. Yeah. So this is probably someone who's done research on witchcraft and that, it's never going to happen again. Yeah. I'm going to be protected through any means necessary, right? So for me, that made sense. If I lived in a world where I knew for a fact witchcraft was real to the point where I had been affected by it, you best believe I'm going to find whatever I can to make sure it doesn't happen again.
Witch repellent?
Right. Whatever I can. Because this is real. This is not a joke. This is not a made up. This is actually real, and to the point where he's like he says, he was aware of his actions, a passenger in his own body. That must be scary as hell. We do go to Agatha's house because, before that, Billy finds out about the Witch's Road and, like you said, do the research and hears the song. And we'd finally go to Agatha's house and we see the same scene play out from a different point of view.
The real angle now, or what I assume is what really happened.
I mean, we got hints of it in the original point of view when he's like, those are just flowers. What are you talking about? Why are you looking at that painting?
Yeah.
Those moments.
That was the integration room. Yeah.
Right. But what I found interesting was that 2 things. One, it wasn't just a case of Agatha is seeing things differently. She's experiencing it differently because in her point of view, Tina was being mouthy to her, giving her all this shit. But in his point of view, he's like, no, whatever you need. He's being nicer. So his words were very different.
Yeah. Like she's the one being like extravagantly weird, I guess.
Right. So she was making up what he was saying. And secondly, which I think is very interesting, and I don't know what this means, is that when he first sneaks up on her, in the original scene, she was talking to Rio. But in this scene, she's talking to nobody. What the hell does that mean? Because we know Rio is real because the others see her on the road. But was Rio there? That scene, was she just in her mind? What was it?
That Fight Club, like Fight Club all over again, right? Because you're right. The questions came like, wait, Rio doesn't exist, but then you're right. They've all seen Rio and commented. But then I was not like, no, wait, did they see Rio? I mean, like
they don't talk about her this episode.
Like even
no
the
one's
fact
like,
that
where's Rio?
And remember, like last episode, I called. I was like, "Oh, Rio's gonna save Agatha." No, she saved herself, which we'll get to because I don't know how. But I don't know. Let's go all the way out there. My brain is like, because as some may know, Rio is probably supposed to be death, and it's like, is Rio actually a person that exists, right? Or is Rio just kind of like a mental, spiritual like entity that kind of exists but doesn't? Because it has, like even in most of the scenes where Rio has been, she's been very like different to everybody else, right? She's been very like
disconnected in some form,
like not going through what they're going through. Like they're all like freaking out, and she's like, like having the time of her life, right? So I thought that I feel like there's a breadcrumb there that they're setting up for almost a bigger like wow moment. Maybe not, just because it definitely, I literally was watching that scene waiting for Rio to show up, and it was like, it never did. They could also maybe be just not showing Rio, but I don't think I somehow don't think that's what it is.
Yeah, no, I'm not quite sure, but it was great. I feel that just seeing that scene, I loved how she uses the top of a water hose as her gun. She just
it's just so like it's so silly.
But what I like about how she plays that scene is that in the scenes that you see her in her head, she's really acting as a detective.
Yeah.
In the scenes where you see in real life, she's saying the same words, same action, but she's being crazy.
Yeah.
And I think it's such a hard line to kind of find as an actor to be the same thing. I thought that was really, really well done. Back on the road, Agatha crawls out of the mud, zombie style, pulling herself out.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know. I don't hate it, but I don't know.
I definitely don't love it because I was just like, right? Like maybe I wish to see a little more power utilized. I almost feel like, okay, we know that Agatha took Alice's powers, right? But I feel like I still haven't seen her do anything with it. And I was either expecting she was going to get saved or she was going to, in that moment, like even like a little burst to get herself to the branch, pull herself out. Again, that maybe that's just me, but I definitely did a little bit just a little side eye.
Well, in terms of the power part, I'm not sure what's going on here, but there's something that tells me that their powers they can't use their powers as much as they want to, because even last week's episode, she kind of did the thing with the powers and then disappears into smoke. Yeah. And even this episode, Billy tries to use his powers again and it doesn't work. So I don't know what the rules are in that term, in terms of, does it have to be extreme situation? Do they have full control what the road is doing? But I do agree that I just felt something off when she just came out like that.
It felt too easy.
It didn't.
It was just too easy.
Yes,
especially because I was like, okay, Lily and Jen, go on then, climb on out since it's so easy. But I feel
here's me kind of reaching here.
Yeah, let's go reach.
Episode 1 or 2, I believe, when she's fighting Rio, she says along the lines of, "You can't kill me." We spoke about, does it mean that Rio can't kill her, or does it mean she can't be killed because of what was done to her? Was something done? Doctor Strange even mentions in Endgame. We go back there when one of the aliens tries to kill him, and he's like, "You'd have problems trying to break a dead man's curse or something like that."
You'll only wish you were dead. That's what Ebony Maw said. I watched that last week. I literally know.
So I don't know. Is there something going on there? Because is that what Wanda? Because you don't know if Wanda's spell also had that effect on her.
Yeah,
like, I'm going to keep you alive forever to experience this.
Yeah,
is that still in place?
Because you're right. She could have been under the mud, like just like not dead, like. Like any branch, come on. But yeah, it just, I don't know. Yeah, I didn't hate it like you said, but I just felt like,
it did. I did have a feeling of, really? I can't deny that, right? Yeah. Regardless of whatever excuses I come up with, the fact that I'm coming up with excuses for such a simple scene just confirms that it felt a bit off. Yeah. What I do like is that the scene, the final scene between Agatha and Billy, I love her acting, right? Because he's trying to be all like, "I don't need you. I don't need anything." And she just starts getting like, "So what does he want?"
She's so funny. She's so annoying, but like so great. Oh my God.
I love when she's like, "What do you want? Mama chose a town full of strangers over home flesh and wires."
Like what? Like, and then even
what about Robo Papa?
Yeah, Robo. I was just literally about to say that. Robo Papa cracked me up. Sorry.
And it's like, all right, there's two of you. You're off to
Toby. Like Tommy. Like what so on brand.
She says that with such gusto, though. Like, aha, you're off to Toby.
It's like, no, this is another Sharon, Mrs. Hart situation. Like, I again, it's a reminder, similar to Penguin, that we're reminded Agatha she's not a nice person. She doesn't remember names. She's not here to know you. She's just like, I knew there's another one of you. Toby, Tommy. Yeah, same difference. What did I say?
Yeah. Like, that's what I said. I didn't care. No, that's the thing. After all of this, and even when like Billy's feeling bad, about, what he may have done to Jen and Lilia. She's like, oh, those two,
It's like, don't feel bad.
Don't feel bad.
Please, boy.
And I like when she's like, what did she say to him? She says, I mean, what you did was, but life goes on. I mean, yours anyway.
Yeah, like, there's so much like subtle, I'd say comedy or just like very deep lines that are just like quips. Just like she's so consistent, right? She like drops them back to back. It's just like,
and it really highlights that, whatever you want to describe it as, villainy is in her. She's fully in it. It's not like some people are villains, but then in their quiet moments, they're really just thinking, nah, she's just quick to be like, he's like, I mean, I've killed
just like
my share.
She was like,
but you don't see it holding me back.
It's like,
what?
Is that meant to be a good thing, right? Like, what kind of motivational speech is this, Agatha? But at the same time, I mean, I do hear you, right? Like I get it a little bit because he knows what he did, and that actually made me think about his powers. Just kind of in the back, I feel like very similar to kind of original Wanda. Like his powers are also very emotion based, at least for now, right? He's definitely not in full control of them, but that's why I felt that because last episode when he used them. It wasn't like he didn't use them for no, he used them up until finishing what he wanted to do. And then when he was done, it's like, oh, I did not use my powers. Yeah, bro. Yeah, you just mind control two, which is to put one in the mud, and then you threw those two in there. Like, trust me, your power. And Agatha says that as well, right? She's like, you're not looking for power. Right? She's like,
sorry to hold you off. She said, you're not looking for magic. And the subtitles, I watch everything with subtitles. They spelled magic with a CK.
Really?
Interesting. Yeah.
Dum.
CK. Don't know what does that mean. I don't know. But yeah, carry on.
I'm going to go rewatch every show I've ever watched now and be looking for bad spelling or not bad, but different. But she's like, what? She said big magic's already in the bag, right? Again, great lines. And I hear her point because like I said, what he did last week was not just to like, oh, my powers are only working a little bit in here. It's like, and that's why I wish I could, it's also nice to not know, but I wish I could sometimes, like with anime, I like to know the power scaling. I almost wish I could see like the rules of the road, right? Like, what are you allowed to do? Clearly you can't, because remember when they were flying on the broomsticks last episode, they could fly for a little bit and then eventually pull it down. So is it like, no, but is it like a 1 minute countdown? Is it like is it like you only fly up to this point? Which I don't really need to know the details, but just in the back of my mind, I'm like, it's another thing that makes the road, I guess, a little bit more exciting and maybe perilous because you're like, you can do some stuff, but you can't do some stuff, right? You can't leave. Alice tried to leave at some point and she walked away and then it literally led right back to the house she was trying. Like, it's just like, it's so spooky, which is also kind of the cool part of this show. Cause it's just like, I really hope I'm not disappointed with the end of the road. I don't think I will be, but Secret Invasion, I've seen shows.
To the end of the road.
If you don't know that song, you're too young for me. But that aside, it's just like I really actually hope I don't get disappointed because I feel like even though it took a while, maybe like a slow burner, they've now kind of pushed it up where I'm like, okay, what is there? What are we saying? Is he bringing his brother back? I doubt it. You know how he was like, what are you gonna say?
Well, I was going to say that leads me to another point where that's a question that we thought the answer was he's looking for Wanda.
Yeah.
Right? We all assumed.
That's what
he's looking for his brother, who is a major character in Young Avengers, who also does come back. So from what you're saying, you assume that his brother won't be coming back?
I know it's a bold thought. I don't know. I feel like there's something. The reason
because he says I can feel him.
Yeah,
he says I can feel him.
Oh, well, let me clarify. I don't feel like he's coming back yet.
Okay. So it's not going to end. The season's not going to end with the return.
Just because this season, WandaVision 2 is what my brain says. It's almost like this. We've got an episode about Billy, but this show is not about Billy. From what I'm expecting, right? I assume he's going
from the title.
Yeah. Apparently, it's Agatha all along. Like, I mean, again, maybe it would make sense because he's going after that, but like, I just can't imagine. Like, I was gonna say he literally was like, Wanda, no Wanda, what's his name? Agatha, I don't trust you. And she was like, okay, like, and she's like, trust? What are you talking about, boy? So I guess I find it hard to believe that at the end of this we find him succeeding at his mission. That's how I'm going to phrase it, right? It's just a little bit skeptical that like, I don't know. Like, maybe he comes back in the future. I'm not saying his brother is never coming back, but it almost feels convenient for it to happen. I do think that would be very cool still. It's a nice way to kind of close up his story. But again, what happens with Agatha? This is her show, right? What is the culmination of this trip and what we have? What is it? 9 episodes, right? So we have 3 more.
3 to go.
3 to go, and first of all, better don't do short episodes again, guys. I'm watching it. Don't, because I hate when shows do that. Also, random. We'll be like, 30 minutes, then 55 minutes, and then 24. You're like, no, keep the same energy, right? Just right. Keep it going. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like I wish I wrote this show because I feel like somehow I would bring back I would bring back Wanda at the end just to say fuck you to everyone. Like what? Or like even if not her, just like the idea of her. But yeah, I don't know that I think his brother comes back in this show, right? I feel like that's something they leave for something else just because this is not WandaVision 2.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm not sure how this ends. I don't even know because again, at the end of the road, you get something that you want, right?
Okay.
Whether it's something,
here's
something
a cookie.
I was going to say, I don't know if it's something you consciously want or something you subconsciously want.
Yeah.
Because you don't know how the road works. And what does Agatha want, right? Does she know what she wants? Does she get back with Rio? Because, there's a history there. Mm-hmm. Does she get her son back, Nicholas Scratch? Is that what she wants?
Yeah.
Does she want to go back and have a better relationship with her mother? Is that what she wants? I don't know what she wants. And I don't know if she knows what she wants, because she's not necessarily always honest with herself or with us.
Or with us. And that's also why, like I said, I wish, not that I need to know, but I almost wish I knew like the parameters for the wish to be granted, right? It's like, what do you want? Does that include time travel? Does it include going to the past? Is it just, like I said, is it just, here's a nice, ice cream sandwich? Like, what exactly is this? Because it's so vague, but I guess that's also part of the drive, right? It's almost, again, let's just reach, because why not? What's the point of reaching if you don't reach? It's almost like it'd be fun if it like ended on an Infinity Stone type of deal, right? Like that's almost what I expect for it, like what you want, but it's going to be something that grants you what you want. So like, that's what I mean with his brother. Like, I don't think I'll see his brother, but it might be like, this is how you get your brother back, right?
Yeah. Like a hint.
Like or even like a direct, like you now have the Eye of Agamotto version 2. Tap it 3 times and, go into the ocean and then you get what you, like, I don't think it's going to be so, not like it's been an easy trial, but I don't see it just being like you open a treasure chest and it's like, all right, here's Aladdin Genie.
So in a nutshell, they may hint at the brother, but you don't think we're going to see an actor playing the brother?
Not yet. And even for Agatha, whatever her one is, I don't know. I guess this is another reason, like I said, I do enjoy that it's so up in the air, because it's not like, a lot of times when we watch something that's based off a comic or a different IP, we can say, oh, they're probably going to find, the Soul Stone, or, oh, they're probably going to find, the X. This is like, I do not know, but
no idea.
I would find it surprising if it ended so quote unquote easy. Like, oh, you reached the end of the road. All right, whatever. What do you want?
Also, I don't think Jen and Lily are dead. I think we're going to see more of them and see what kind of effect they have on the narrative. One thing I liked, a nice little touch. Again, I only noticed this because I recently watched Multiverse of Madness. There's a line at the end when she says to him, "So you broke the rules. Big deal. It's what kept you alive. That's what makes you special. That's what makes you a witch." And I was thinking, what rule? And then she's like, "Oh, you just saw a little body there and you took it." And I remember in Multiverse of Madness, that was one of the rules you can't do. You cannot inhibit a dead body. Because that's when Doctor Strange does that to his dead soul.
Yeah.
All his souls came. It's like you can't.
They're like, nope.
Breaking the rules. And that's what she was speaking on. So I like that kind of little bit of synergy.
Yeah.
To
continuity in witchy.
Anything else? Any moments that you like that we haven't spoken about?
There was a random line, not random, but from Wanda where she was like, "You really are a Maximoff. Otherwise, none of this will be nearly as dramatic." It's just like
that was so perfect.
Oh my gosh, it was. I love the disdain she has for like the Maximoff family, but like I feel like you can almost tell like some respect. No, they are. They really are. Like everything they do. I mean, he has a RoboPapa for God's sake. I mean, does it get any more dramatic?
She took over a whole town and took control of him because she lost her robo daddy. like the length she went to create this falsehood of a life.
Like couldn't you just go to Best Buy and just get a new one? Like, geez, just go ask Wakanda for a new model, lady. It's not that deep. Oh my gosh.
Anything else that stood out? Oh, we found out that because in the first episode when Lily is talking about who needs to go in the coven, she was like, "Oh, we need a Earth witch, this witch, this witch." Mm-hmm. She says, and she writes Black Heart. Mm-hmm. We all thought Black Heart was Rhea,
Mrs. Heart,
either Rhea or Mrs. Heart. People thought that, but Eddie, Billy's boyfriend, calls him my Black Heart. So it was him who was the person who was supposed to be on the road. So I thought that was a nice little touch. Also,
which would make sense, actually.
Right. A very nice touch that I liked. In the past, recently, both Disney and Marvel will have characters and say, "Look, it's our first gay character, first gay Latino, first gay Black, or first gay." Mm-hmm. But it's usually gay characters who are quote unquote gay because you read a blurb somewhere, not because the storyline told you that they were gay. Mm-hmm. It was just like a piece of things. Like it was just Disney being like, "Yeah, they're gay. Oh, yeah," just to appease people.
Like, oh, that guy? Oh, gay.
Like, yeah, he's gay. Yeah. But I thought this was like one of the few times in Marvel where I'm like, okay, yes, that character is gay. It's not just a subtle thing. It's not just shoehorned in for to please a group. No, he is gay, and he's very much gay. But it's not necessarily like forced. It felt natural to the narrative.
It wasn't cringe. Like, yeah, he's gay. It wasn't cringe in this.
It wasn't cringe. It wasn't forced. It wasn't pandering. Yeah. To the audience. It was just like something that just felt natural. Like, yeah, he's gay. He's Billy. It wasn't, and I like that. I liked how it was done. I think this is one of the few times I can remember in the Marvel, especially with the main character, right? It's not like in the MCU, technically, you have gay characters like, Valkyrie's gay, but it's like, you could forget.
Yeah.
Right. It's kind of just thrown in there, like, yeah,
it's not a touchdown. Yeah.
Whereas this one, you're like, no, he is gay. It's like, okay, so let's carry on with the story. And I like that approach that finally they're allowing these kind of narratives to happen, as opposed to trying to like hide it away
naturally, or as opposed to trying to force it. Again, I'm perfectly fine with storylines, but let it feel more like this, where it's you showing a character that's gay's story, as opposed to oh my gosh, add that he's gay.
Yeah. Let's make these people happy, but don't make him too gay because certain places won't allow us to show it. It's like, no, just let the story be the story.
Micro gay. Please don't cancel me for these phrases. Right. But sorry, on that topic, because my second, I cracked up because I couldn't imagine it in the time. But when Agatha like tied him up and put him in the closet, and he was like, "No, I don't want to go back in the closet." I just thought that was just so funny.
That was a nice touch there. I did like that. I think that's it. I really like this episode. It's funny because it's like one of the strongest episodes. Has nothing to do with the trials itself. I don't know what that says. Though I do like, I don't know if it's just me. Two things I've noticed. One, I feel like I've noticed like the actual road itself, the location gets more physical each episode. Like there's more to it as opposed, because initially it's like, it just felt like a stage set only where they're standing. Then progressively, as it goes further, it feels like there's a distance. It goes deep,
like
it goes
in
far.
a forest,
right in the actual forest itself. I thought it was a nice kind of touch. And also, I don't know if you noticed it. Many people didn't notice it. When we see his room, both when he's younger and he's older, a lot of things in his room are objects that we see in the road on the different trials, the different houses that we go to, like certain posters and certain ornaments. It's the same thing. I don't know what that means. Okay. I don't know if it means he has more of a connection to the road, but it's again a lot of things that we see in his room, in the road itself. Whatever that means, I don't know. Maybe we might find out. Maybe we won't.
That's interesting. I definitely think there's more to him with this whole like Blackheart thing, with his powers, with him knowing, with just the way like he's been around. I've mentioned it, like in each of the trials, he's been so key and pivotal to the scene. Even when they first entered the road, he went through the door first, right? And it's not like I know these trials, but I could very much see if the road didn't want him there, I could see him somehow being rejected. Excuse me. Right? So it almost feels like Mrs. Hart was just like the extra tag along, right? He was actually the fifth member of this coven and little gang of witchies all along. And I'm very, like I said, I'm super curious, and no offense, MCU TV. I'm also like very, very, very hopeful they're not going to screw this up. Right? And so it's like we've seen this before, and I don't want to get to the end of this and be like, that's it.
What gives me hope is that it seems to be getting better as it goes along. Because I do think it started off more on the weaker side.
Yeah.
And episodes have got progressively better as we get more information.
Yeah.
So hopefully it does end strong. I don't know. We'll find out. What do you nerdies think of this show so far? 3 episodes to go. What do you expect? What do you assume? Find us on social media at The Nerdie Bunch. And if you have any questions or you have recommendations for us, you can find us on email, the Nerdie Bunch podcast at gmail.com. Check out some of our other podcasts. We're currently reviewing The Penguin as well, which is past its halfway mark. We have a bunch of movies coming up and a bunch of TV shows coming up. We're going to be reviewing. So keep checking our social media. We'll be announcing what we have coming up down the pipeline so you can prepare yourself. Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you, David.
My name's English Dave, and this has been a Nerdie Bunch presentation of Something to Marvel About, where we spoke about Agatha All Along, episode 6. Can't wait for the next 3 episodes. And as always, Andrew.
Sorry, I actually forgot to say this. My other best line, which is, where did you come by this fresh body you're wearing? I gotta she talk like that.
The way she even does it, she's like curious.
Like, yeah, she's like, where do you come back with this fresh butt?
Like, where can I find one?
Yeah, it's the same way she wanted to know how Wanda did the whole dome, right? Like you can tell she's so like, if you ever watch Heroes, I respect you, but very like Sylar, very like Sylar. I want to pick it apart. I want that power for myself. Like it's just so good. Oh my gosh! All right, now let's do that outro again.
She's always thinking about how things benefit her, which I love.
Yeah, like it's so on brand for a selfish witch.
Right. And on that note, as always, Andrew,
keep it nerdy.
Peace, y'all.